Hello, everyone. You're listening to Game Rivals, a podcast where a Nintendo fan and a PlayStation fan talk about the latest games and happenings in the gaming community and industry. I'm one of your hosts, Maximilian X, and together with SeanTemplar, we bring you this bi-weekly podcast about video games. Hey guys, Maximilian X here on the top of the episode with a special message from the team. We made a survey to gauge what people think of Game Rivals. Please fill this in as it will help us make the content that you would enjoy. The link for this is in the description for the episode, or you can find the link also on our Twitter, which is at game_rivals_. Thank you for your attention, and now back to the main episode.
Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to a new episode of Game Rivals. I think we should maybe give this one the subtitle Stadia Edition, because we're going to talk a lot about Stadia. It's finally out. I'm going to try not to butcher it, because that's what I feel like I've been doing the last few weeks, but Maximilian just said, hey, all bets are off, I can promise you. So, as usual, I'm here with my co-host, Maximilian. How are you, my friend?
I'm okay. It's a little bit chilly here in the small land of the frogs, but I'm living. It's good. It's good.
Well, that's good to hear. Let's get right into it in our first segment, the news. You want to start with Stadia, or you want to save that till the end?
Let's start it, because otherwise we're going to be here forever. So Stadia's out. Big shocker. Finally. But here's the thing. Should it be finally, though? Because if we look at all the reports that have been coming out lately, the launch being what it was, we've talked about the launch last time. I want to focus more on the stuff that came out afterwards. So here's the thing. One of the things that have come out lately is that apparently some people have been experiencing, after long play sessions with Stadia on the Chromecast, that the Chromecast overheats and then shuts down. And apparently Google's like, no, they're not supposed to overheat, because they're not supposed to. We tested it. It doesn't overheat.
I believe they said that in testing it does not overheat and it does not cause any issues as such, but, it still does.
Yeah, but here's the thing. They do it. The tests are always done in a controlled environment. So also, we don't know how long they've been testing them for, like, consecutive hours. And I get why it would happen, because apparently the Chrome Ultra is, first of all, an old piece of tech. It's 3 years old now. And two, even with video streaming in 4K, it seems to be having a similar issue over time. So people streaming Netflix 4K have been having similar issues, but the only difference is with Stadia, it happens a lot sooner, mostly because the 4K content is not being buffered in the Chromecast Ultra, because it's live feed.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's processing a lot of data live. That's gonna at a certain point, it's gonna keel over.
Yeah, so what I find baffling is that when Stadia was first announced, they said it's going to be 4K, 60 FPS in HDR, like is the right place to play these games. And so far, reports have come out that Red Dead Redemption 2 is running at 2540 by 1600, so that's 2560p or 4040p
Dynamically, by the way.
dynamically, and is capped at 30 frames. And Destiny 2 is running at full HD on medium settings, and it is being upscaled with all sorts of fancy techniques to 4K. That kind of is disappointing, because that's not what we were promised. And Google quickly came out with, yeah, but the technology is there. It's just up to the developers to optimize their games and utilize it, because I believe with the Tomb Raider games, they are running in 4K and all that. But
yeah, there's like a handful of games that
the thing that bugs me is that you buy the Stadia Premier or Founders Edition and you get a free game, which is Destiny. That game
Well, Destiny and Samurai Showdown.
and so I believe that Destiny, or at least the game that you bundle with it, should be it should ace everything.
It should be a flagship title.
Yeah, it should be either a flagship title or it should demonstrate the full capabilities of the platform. So it should run at ultra 60 FPS or even more at HDR. It should be like, this is why you spend $130 or bucks or whatever. This is Stadia, and you will love this. And now
Exactly.
it's more like cowering behind an excuse and saying, "Hey, well, the technology is there, but you have to optimize your game." I'm like, well, that's not what we agreed upon when we started this.
Especially when they touted, "Oh, our teraflops is like the PlayStation 4 Pro and the Xbox One X combined," and yet I'd still probably get a better results on either of those systems than on Stadia.
Yeah, I mean, the Xbox One X version of Destiny 2 has a higher quality than the Stadia version, which is strange, as Google
Yeah,
would put it, because I mean, Stadia is the best place to play, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, here's the thing. I mean, I know that we continually tend to bash on Stadia, but here's the main takeaway from the Stadia launch: the tech works.
yeah,
Like the tech works. No matter what the little things that they haven't finished yet, that you can't use the Stadia controller wirelessly if you're playing on PC or on mobile, or the fact that 4K is not available through the browser just yet, that's fine. The point is, those tech works. If you log in, if you have an account, you log in, you select the game, you jump in, it starts right up. Load times are fast. If you have a stable enough connection and there's no other interferences, it runs smooth as butter. And
yeah.
there's very little lag. Outside from that, though, it's been a horrible mess in terms of PR and people's experiences trying to get it to work and trying to play it in a stable environment. Because here's the thing: when you're streaming something, when you're streaming a video, as I said before, it gets buffered, which means it gets preloaded into whatever device you're using to watch, and you can watch it without any disturbances pending on a stable network connection. But since Stadia is a live feed, any other interruptions on your network will hinder your performance when you're playing Stadia. So, for example, if you're playing Stadia in 4K on your Chromecast Ultra and someone decides to haul in like a whole bunch of data at the same time, your your network is gonna get overloaded and you're gonna get stutters in it. That's just the way things are. Even if you have twice or three times as much above the recommended speeds for 4K Ultra. And don't even get me started on when you actually only have the minimum requirements, because then it's wonky. It's gonna be wonky. Even though they say you need 35 mbits per second to play 4K 60 frames, that doesn't mean that it's a stable. It's what's required to achieve it. So yeah, I don't know. We're gonna have to see. Oh, here's actually another article that actually popped up recently, because with Stadia Pro, every month you get a new game, right?
Yeah.
So for the month of December, they decided to give two games again, like they did with the launch: Tomb Raider Definitive Edition and Farming Simulator 19. Here's the thing, though: both games were available at launch to purchase,
Yeah.
meaning that people bought either or both of these titles already. And now you're just giving it away for free, which obviously made people less than happy. But this is the only thing that at least Google has picked up on and handled it well, because they have stated that if you purchased either of the titles, um, it's fine if you request a refund because mea culpa. Um, you bought the game, but now it's free. You feel cheated. You're not supposed to feel cheated. So at least with that aspect, they are picking it up right.
That's the least they can do.
The very least.
I'm happy to see that the tech works. I've looked at some reviews, and the reviews are general consensus is the technology is there, it works. In some cases, there's some minor uh, lag or latency, whatever. But all the reviews I checked have been around American-based reviews. I'm really
Mm,
curious to see because here in the Netherlands we have a lot of places or we have stable, fast internet everywhere. So I'm curious to see if we're gonna experience any of those issues, especially when you have a wired connection. The thing that is a little bit of a bummer is that like the usability of Stadia is a bit something they can improve on because you have to purchase the games through an app and
hmm
you can buy it through the service directly.
You have
And
to launch the service through the app too.
yeah, so like, why do I need a second device to do that? And well, the controller's not wireless yet. They only support Google phones yet to take it on the go. A lot of the social features aren't there yet. These are these
Mhm.
smaller things, but like, and that's something we came back to a while back. Is that they should have. I think it would have been better. They just delayed it and said, "Hey, it's going to come out Q1 2020," and then have all those features there, or at least say, okay, we're going to do a beta launch at the beginning of this year. We'll have like an entry fee and an early access fee, and we'll launch next year. And then at least people can try it out, give some feedback, and then they could have grown the library in the meantime.
Yeah.
I'm happy again that the technology is there and that it's working because it will automatically. It's healthy competition. So this will also trigger Sony and trigger Microsoft to also have a look at.
It already has. I
Yeah,
mean, with
yeah.
with Microsoft and with Amazon, apparently. Yeah, you hadn't heard that, did you?
No?
Yeah, Amazon is also stepping into the ring of streaming video games.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, they already have game developers. They're not doing anything. Might as well set them up to make games for a streaming service.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't know that.
But yeah, Google has, pressed the start button and everybody's, getting rowdy and gearing up.
But that's good. That's healthy competition because it forces innovation. It forces people and companies to iterate on what they have. Because, for example, I've tried PlayStation now maybe like 2 years ago, and it was okay. It wasn't what I expected out of it, but it was okay-ish. There was still some stuttering here and there, and even though that I had a stable connection, um, it wasn't like what I would have expected. So what I would hope with these things is like when the new PlayStation comes out next year, that they can at least have something there as well to say, okay, hey, if you want to have some experience on the go on your tablet or your smartphone or your laptop, and we have that as well. For example, remote play. I've tried it on my computer or my laptop a couple of times, and that works. Yeah, the
No,
quality.
remote play is fine. It works
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, I mean, and share play, for example, is another feature that I love. I think we share played Formula One once, and it worked
hmm
seamlessly.
Yeah, I didn't have any. I mean, that's how I initially played Spider Man.
No, well, there you go. And I mean,
Yeah.
if you can enjoy it that way without any obstacles having impact on the experience, then that's like those are things that are good. So I'm curious to see where it goes. As soon as Google, and I think Google will do that pretty fast, is open up Stadia Pro to everyone instead of saying you can only have it if you have a Founders Edition. Maybe
Well, the
even before the
question.
end of this year.
Well, that's the question, right? Because that's what they said they would do. That Stadia Pro would come out before the end of the year.
Yeah,
So who knows? I don't know.
I want to try
Maybe
it. I mean, like for now, I mean, partially you can't always give an opinion without ever trying it yourself.
exactly.
And we're constantly bashing it, so I hope that by trying it, I'll be less bashy. I mean, I want to give it a try, and again, if we can get to the place where this is the most complete experience to play, then for example, I would want to play Cyberpunk on Stadia. If I get
Yeah.
4K 60 in ultra with HDR instead of 1080p at medium upscale to 4K, because then I'll just buy it on a PS5 or whatever.
Yeah. Did we talk about last episode? We talked about XO19.
Yeah,
Microsoft's
yeah, we
fan
mentioned
event.
that.
They talked about xCloud back then,
Yeah, we briefly mentioned
and
that as well.
they also talked about the fact that Game Pass was coming to xCloud.
Oh, I didn't know that, and I didn't get that one.
Ah, okay. Yeah, so Game Pass, the full Game Pass library will be available on xCloud.
Oh, that's nice. That's really nice, and that's how Stadia should have been.
Exactly. I mean, now, like whenever xCloud launches, Microsoft will have the upper hand because if you already have a Game Pass subscription, you get xCloud, which I don't know how much they're gonna charge for that, but I'm sure they're going to make another bundle like they did with um, Game Pass Ultra or Ultimate, where you have the subscription for your PC and for your Xbox all bundled into one for $15 a month,
Hmm.
which is a killer deal, by the way. So I'm really curious when that's gonna launch and see how that's gonna affect the game, because with when that launches next to Stadia, that's probably gonna be around for a couple of months by then.
Yeah.
How is that going to change the landscape? How is that going to affect Google's strategy going forward? You know, and how is that going to affect whatever decisions Amazon's going to make before they launch their streaming platform?
The funny thing is Amazon is already helping out a lot of companies with their technology. I think Sony switched to Amazon's servers for PlayStation Now, and there are some other companies that also rely on Amazon Web Services.
No, no, no.
Oh
They
no, now
switched
they
to
switched back
Microsoft.
to Azure, but before it was running
Yeah,
on Amazon, I believe, and now they switch. Yeah, that's right.
yeah.
They switched to Microsoft, but like they have already companies. For example, Amazon also does the cloud services for Formula One. During the
Mm,
race, there's a lot of calculations that are being done, and they show that to the viewer, for example, and it's all powered by Amazon Web Services. So when a car comes in to pit, then they already do a calculation to show like, okay, if he pits now, he will end up blah 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 on the grid when he comes out, or his striking distance will be like in 5 laps he can overtake that many positions or the number one, for example. And those are things are all powered by Amazon Web Services. So they are like they have a lot of space, and I think like besides Azure, I always hear it's either Amazon or it's Azure. I don't hear anything else around cloud-based services. So it's they're both like kind of
mm,
the market leader.
as far as I could tell, um, Google isn't doing anything in terms of. As far as I can tell, there are no gaming services that use Google's cloud services. So I don't know. I mean, there are businesses use Google's cloud tech to do their thing, but like that's about it.
Okay.
So, um, speaking of Microsoft, during that XO event, a new interview came out where Sean Spencer,
Phil Spencer.
um, sorry, Phil. Why did I say Sean Spencer?
I
Who's
have
Sean
no
Spencer?
idea.
Oh, damn it!
It's Phil
Wow.
Harrison
Yeah,
and
yeah. Sean Spencer was part of the White House. I don't know why I was suddenly thinking about
oh
that
my
name.
god. This is not a
Um,
political podcast.
yeah,
Let's
this is
keep it
not
to
a political
games.
podcast. I don't know where that came from. Anyway, Phil Spencer was talking about Project Scarlett and how it was not focusing on VR because their fans are not asking for it. Now, to give it a little bit more context here, let me bring it up real quickly. Basically, what he said was they're looking to the market and what their fans are asking for, and the fans are not asking for VR. He also explained that the fans that are looking for VR know where to look for VR experiences currently. Mostly on computer and other places, meaning the PlayStation VR.
Well, they do kind
Um,
of support VR in a way that on Microsoft and on Windows, they have a lot of support for VR headsets. So
oh yeah,
they
yeah,
kind of, in a
sure.
way, accommodate the need for players there.
Oh sure, yeah. That's not a problem. I mean, they don't mind if you're doing it on PC. They're just saying, or Phil Spencer's just saying that there's not a ask for it on consoles. At least not from their perspective. And true, um, that like it's not a million selling industry. It's not like they're selling millions of a VR headset every month. It's probably a couple of 100,000, if that, you know. So it's not cheap. I mean, it's gotten cheaper with the Oculus
Quest.
Quest. Ah, mush mouth today. The Oculus Quest, the Oculus Rift S, stuff like that is cheaper. PlayStation VR is a cheaper option as well. If you're going for the high end stuff, you can do that, of course, um, with the Index, Valve's Index, and the HTC Vive and stuff like that, or any mixed reality headset that you can buy for a Windows computer. Those options are there. People know that it exists, but they are not asking from Microsoft themselves, or at least from the Xbox division, please implement VR. That's what he's saying.
I think it's the right call to make, and I know that.
For now, it is
Yeah, I know
because
that like Sony
yeah, it's
is working on VR too, and it's going to be wireless and whatnot. But I genuinely wonder if there is a place for VR in the world, because I feel like it's something like 3D. You know, when 3D was coming out, a lot of focus was placed on 3D, and it kind of got like this silent death, and nobody talked about 3D
yeah,
anymore.
but with 3D, it always comes and goes. The same thing in the 80s. 3D was like the thing, and then it came and went without anybody ever batting an eye at 3D because A, it was expensive, and B, it was only in dual colors. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
even though the tech got better over the years, um, people see it as a fad. They'll check it out a bit and then they'll drop it, and
I think the
nobody
problem
lives.
with VRs is that there are on PC. I think there are a lot of smaller titles on it. Like there's a pretty big indie community for VR. So on platforms such as Steam or the Epic Games, where you can get a lot of games for VR. But on consoles, there is not enough content there to justify the purchase of a $400 or $300 PSVR or whatnot. And on consoles, the only headset you can use is the VR or the PSVR right now. And
Yeah,
like,
and there's not enough of them out there to justify the input
yeah, like
in
I
uh
think they came out.
investing in it.
Yeah, the VR, at least the PlayStation VR, is the best-selling VR headset because they've sold over 1 million. Well, that says something about how hot it is, because you would expect it to be higher in all these years.
Hmm.
Um, but it is the best-selling VR headset. I think, namely also because of the price. I mean, the higher end ones on PC are all 700-800 euros, even more maybe. But
No,
like,
I mean
there
the
isn't enough
Quest is the
content
cheapest
there.
one there is right now. Yeah.
Yeah, there's ain't enough content to justify buying that thing, because maybe Sony rolls out one or two, maybe three good titles for VR in a year, and that's it. And then yeah, I heard, for example, that Resident Evil 7 is an amazing VR experience. It's super creepy, like horrifying. I'm like, yeah, well, I don't want to play that because I'm not into that kind of, you know.
Yeah, and I don't want to play it that way because I'm a big scaredy pants.
I'm not a fan of horror as well, but but for example, like I'm happy that those experiences exist, but it's just like you can maybe count it on one hand, maybe on two
Mm.
hands, whereas you would want to say like, oh, I have this amazing list of VR titles you have to play. Because if someone were to ask me, hey, should I buy a PlayStation right now? I would say, hey, maybe it is an amazing time to buy a PlayStation right now because you have this huge library of games you can already play. And
Hmm.
and I can give you a list of all amazing experiences. Whereas with if people were to say, "Hey, should I buy a VR?" I'm like, "No, man, hold off on that. I wouldn't spend my money on that."
Yeah, I mean, at least on PlayStation VR, I would hold off until
Yeah,
the next generation
yeah.
comes. Speaking of VR, though, um, guess who is making video games again?
Uh, is it the company that has teased us forever around Half-Life Episode 3 or Half-Life 3, and now suddenly has found the urge to develop a game again.
Yes, after 12 years, they're finally bringing out a new game, and it's VR. Half-Life Alex got announced like what, a week ago?
Something like that, yeah.
And there was this interview with Jeff Keighley that I still have to watch. Though apparently it goes more into depth as to why they did this. But basically, it comes down to um, they're always apparently developing and dropping projects within Valve in terms of gaming. A lot of and the reason for that is that when they want to make a new game, they want to make something that's new and different and hasn't been done before, or that the tech's there to realize whatever vision they have at that moment. And with VR, they felt that the time was right and the tech was there to finally bring it forth. So that's why we're getting Half-Life Alex. Um, they are marketing it as a premium title. Like previously, with all past VR titles, with exception of a handful of other games, they were more experiences more than what you would say a full on game,
Hmm.
with the exception of say Astrobot or what's the PlayStation one, uh,
I think it came out this year. Blood and Honor?
Blood
No, what was it? What was it?
Blood and Sand, Blood and I forget. Um, like people type those two experiences as very good VR
Blood
experiences.
and Truth.
Thank you. Blood and Truth. People tend to tout those two as like prime experiences for VR.
Yeah, I believe these games did get good reviews for the games that they were.
Yeah, and let's not forget Beat Saber, which everybody
I played that
freaking
one in VR,
loves.
which is actually a nice one.
Yeah, okay. I haven't tried it out yet because I have yet to find a place where I can play that.
I experienced
Um,
VR for the first time this year. I mean, like in the beginning of the year. Otherwise, I would never have touched.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like you need
I
that
mean,
space, and you need that like
yeah,
either a beefy computer or a good game you want to play. There are like a lot of side conditions beside the initial investment of the headset.
exactly. So, yeah. So they announced that it's coming out. The trailer's out. If you want to watch it, it's pretty. Like it is really pretty. For what it is, for the fact that it's a VR game and it looks very interactive. Um, the thing though is, like I said, it is a premium title, so it's $60. But they have said that anybody that purchases the Valve Index gets it for free,
Oh, that's nice.
which yeah, it should be since the Valve Index costs like $1,200.
I know it's apparently the best VR headset currently there.
It sounds like it should be because I think you still need to set up certain things. Like you have to put up this lighthouse, uh, a lighthouse or two lighthouse. What's the plural of lighthouse? I don't know. But it does
Lighthouse.
have inside out tracking for um, improved accuracy and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I think the controllers as well are like really good because it registers individual hand movement or finger movement, I believe, as well.
yeah,
I saw a video on YouTube and they like showed that that you could just lift certain fingers and then they would show up in the game. I'm like, wow, okay, this is pretty accurate.
yeah, yeah. I'm curious to try it out, but dang, I mean, I just recently found out that my PC is too old to use the capture card. Um, so yeah, I need to upgrade my PC just to be able to do that, let alone buy a VR rig and use that. So yeah, it's crazy, man. It's
All in
really
due
crazy.
time.
Yeah, all in due time. Um, moving on from that, speaking of Jeff Keighley and interviews, the Game Awards is upon us.
Yeah.
The yearly truncating of trailers for the coming year and giving awards to games is upon us, and oh boy, has it been a controversial one this time around. With the announcements of the nominations, you can vote on the games that you feel deserves to win whatever category that they're in. And they actually did a cool thing with Google, where if you type in TGA vote,
Yeah.
then you get a special search for the Game Awards where you can click on the nominations and vote right there in Google,
Oh, that's cool.
which is really cool because the website itself got hammered the very first day it launched.
Really?
So yeah, so you couldn't go to the website to vote because as soon as you tried to click on the categories, the website would crash and give you a error message stating that try again later. So I had to vote through the other way,
I
which
haven't.
worked perfectly fine.
I haven't cast my vote yet, so.
Yeah. Speaking of casting votes, let's talk about the nominations because if you look it up, Death Stranding and Control have a lot of nominations.
I'm surprised that Control has a lot of nominations because Control didn't actually review that well. I mean, I got the
Oh no, it
game.
reviewed like the Metacritic is pretty solid for it. It's a solid 82.
Really?
Yeah,
I
it's just
think
that not a lot of people were talking about it.
I got it together with my when I bought my new GPU, so I can play it on PC. I just haven't gotten the
Played it.
time to download it and play it.
That's fine. That's fine. I mean, the biggest controversy here, well, there's a few of them, but let me start with the biggest one. Of course, the obvious one. Death Stranding has been nominated for I think 8 categories, including Game of the Year. And well, people are already speculating, and uh, getting annoyed. Oh yeah, it got nominated because Jeff Keighley's in the game,
Or
and
it's
then
a Hideo Kojima game.
or exactly, and then Jeff Keighley had to come out and say that he doesn't take part in the nominations at all. There's a panel of judges that do it, and the panel of judges is basically outlets from around the world that get to I think the point is that they vote. It's never been truly fully confirmed, but the panel of judges get to nominate 3 titles for each category,
Okay.
and the Game Awards officials they tally up those nomination votes, and that's how they get the 5 nominations per category, depending on how many games were out that year. And one of the other things is that the former editor in chief for the Japanese outlet Famitsu was also in Death Stranding among a whole bunch of other celebrities.
There are a lot of celebrities in this game.
But here's the thing, when it got reviewed by Famitsu, it got a perfect score, and the reviewers did not even mention that their former editor in chief, who is now the president of their publishing house, was a part of the game.
Okay.
And they get to cast nominations for this as well. So people were legit asking serious questions as to and paying attention as to why are they allowed to first of all nominate titles, and second of all, why wasn't it disclosed? So yeah, I mean, why would they do that? It sounds really fishy, you know?
I can understand that, but maybe I mean, I haven't played Death Stranding yet, and
Neither have I, but
yeah, I'm
it
not
doesn't
willing to
make it
spend.
any less fishy.
No, but like I'm not willing to spend $60 on the game. I've spoken to somebody that's played the game, and he said like I really enjoy the game because it is something different. It is something new, and it is something that it's like maybe because it's so new and different, people aren't used to that because people have like a certain they associate Hideo Kojima with a certain type of game. and let's be honest, he has always made the same kind of game. That they associate him with, okay, well, it'll probably be like a stealth action game or something Metal Gear kind of like, and now it's something completely different. Because I told you, I thought it was going to be like a horror Metal Gear game, and it turned out to be a mailman game, and I mean that's really dumbed down.
Yeah.
And because it's so new, people are like, yeah, well, this is probably the reason because they're trying to do something new.
Yeah. And with other things, with other controversies, people feel that certain titles have been snubbed. Um, Fire Emblem Three Houses, for one, has been snubbed. People feel the hardest for music because I think I told you about. I think back when Fire Emblem Three Houses came out, I was raving about how fantastic the soundtrack is,
Yes.
and why Nintendo. Please, if someone again from Nintendo is listening, I would pay top dollar for a music subscription service from Nintendo to just listen to your soundtracks because I don't know what they've been doing the past decade or so, but a lot of their games have had killer soundtracks, including Fire Emblem Three Houses, and it didn't even get nominated for that. It only got nominated for Best Strategy Game.
Aren't the soundtracks available on streaming services?
No, they're not.
Oh, that's funny. I know that with a few of Sony's games, the composers themselves put them on like Spotify or some other
Yeah,
service, and
Nintendo is very um conservative about those kinds of things.
Nintendo's a big conservative about around like almost all the things they do.
And we should count our lucky stars that at least Pokemon Company is responsible for putting the soundtrack on streaming services, but Sword and Shield is not on there just yet.
Oh my
But at least
god.
all the other games that came out are available on Apple Music and Spotify and stuff like that.
Okay.
But yeah, people feel that Fire Emblem got snubbed for that. The best family game is all Nintendo titles, including Smash, which most people agree should not be in best family game. It just feels weird to say that it's a family game. I mean, people of all ages can play it, fine, but it's just a weird thing.
Should it not be
And
nominated for fighting game?
it is. It is nominated for best fighting game.
Ah,
You know
okay.
what's also nominated for best fighting game?
No.
Jump Force.
Is
And people hate Jump Force. It's one of the worst rated fighting games of the year.
But like maybe it's because okay, we have to look at a category of games and then like okay, which fighting games came out, and if it's only like a handful, then hey,
But there were other fighting games that got better scores and did not end up on the list. I mean, better comparatively.
we'll just have to wait and see for the results.
It's a. I'm sorry, this year has been really weird with the nominations, though.
It is a
Just
gap year. I've been saying this the whole year.
yeah, but a gap year doesn't mean that that certain games that should be nominated for something else do not get it.
Let me predict how the Game Awards is going to be next year because we'll probably have this conversation next year as well. The Last of Us is going to grab all categories, or like if it's in a category, it's going to grab it and it's going to grab best game.
Well, we'll see until it comes out. We'll see, we'll have to see until it comes out because next year is also. I'm so certain that Breath of the Wild 2 is going to come out next
I was
year.
about to say that. Like the only game that might interfere with that would be Breath of the Wild, and I think you're right. Breath of the Wild is going to come out next year because it's the only counter Nintendo has for an Xbox
Currently,
Scarlett.
because we don't know what they have up their sleeve for
Yeah,
next
okay,
year.
but I
Other
don't
than
expect them to come out with a new console. I mean,
no, I don't think so either. And people keep talking about the Switch Pro coming out soon or next year. Yeah, it's not happening next year.
yeah, anybody like that's the only counter they have, the only ace up their sleeve they have to play against a PS5 and an Xbox Scarlett if they kind of want to take away the attention.
Yeah.
That is their moment, and they will probably bring it out in the holiday season, just around the corner when the new consoles come out. Because they're not going to release it in March because nobody wants that.
Wait, you mean Sony?
No, the Breath of the Wild sequel.
Oh no! I don't think
It's a
even
holiday
if
title.
here's the thing. Even if they wanted to, I don't think the game would be ready by March of next year, anyways.
No.
So I mean,
Oh,
they announced it late last year or early this year. So
early
no,
this year.
yeah, so no, it's not going to be done by early next year.
Yeah.
And the last thing I wanted to bring up before we go to the next segment is, hey, guy or girl out there, do you like leaking stuff? Do you like ruining people's days by leaking stuff? Well, the Pokemon Company has got your number, and they're coming after you with lawsuits because they are going after the people that leaked the strategy guide stuff and leaked all the Pokemon stuff, like weeks prior to the release of the game. And considering how Game Freak has been so hush hush right up until the launch of Pokemon Sword and Shield and what's going in there and all the Pokemon in there, yeah, they are not messing around. They are going after the leakers really hard. They hired investigators to or forensic investigators to find out who the people's accounts belong to on Discord and on Reddit. So they're not messing around. They are going after them for the money, and mostly, of course, to make an example of them so that people will think twice before they leak the next Pokemon game.
Wow, that's harsh.
I mean, it's not like they're unique in that position. Other developers that have done it before. I mean, Epic did the same thing when a person leaked stuff from Chapter 2.
Right, yeah.
So
I mean, sometimes a leak can also be like free PR. I mean, yeah.
yeah, but if they here's the thing with the free PR with leaks. They set up these kind of things for months in advance. They have a whole roadmap of how they want to structurally announce stuff. As soon as someone leaks something way too early, then they suddenly have to scramble around it so that it works in their favor because they're not ready to show whatever it is that they want to show, or they just want to keep it, on the down low because they want to surprise people. I did not look at any of the leaks that came out for Pokemon, and I was the more happy for it because I came across Pokemon that I never even thought of that were super weird. Like my favorite Pokemon right now is a Pokemon called Phalanx that looks like it looks like a caterpillar, but it's made out of seven individual creatures, and they look like Spartans.
What?
Yeah, they're small round creatures that look like Spartans.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. But I would have that would have been spoiled for me if I looked up the leaks, right? But I just naturally came across them. I was like, "What is this weird creature I'm looking at?" And they're so fun to work with.
Okay, I'll give you that one.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're gonna find them all and if they'll be able to successfully sue them, but this is a warning shot to those that would be leakers that would leak stuff in terms of Pokemon in this case.
I think this is something that's like you can't prevent it. It will happen always because there's also like talking about leaks. There's somebody that leaked the possible release date for the PlayStation 5 and the pricing, saying it's going to be November 20th next year, and it's going to be $499. And yeah, it creates buzz, and people are starting to think about it. It is plausible that it's going to come out November 20th, and the price is also plausible. I kind of expect it to go in that direction for
Hmm.
49 499, but like before we hear more, I mean it's all speculation, and we just have to wait and see.
Yeah. But what that does create for Sony is that they're going to have lower sales of consoles, which they already have been having.
Yeah, they have
But now
accounted for that already, but
I'm assuming that they have already accounted for that. But yeah, it still kind of messes with your whole flow. Like with the release, they got really pissed um, when the patent got leaked for the developer kits.
I can't imagine.
So yeah, so that is it for the news.
We will be right back after this with what we have been playing.
Yep, yep. And welcome back to the second segment with what we've been playing. SeanTemplar, what have you been playing?
I've been playing a couple of games. Um, One of them is the Division 2, which I bought earlier this year. The Division 2 has been getting a steady stream of new content and also improvements. And it's been a while since I've played it, so I go back once every time and just log in and play the new content. They've added new specialization, so when you reach level 30, you can
Hmm?
branch out into specialization. So you choose a certain um, build you want to specialize in. So you that has like a special weapon. One of the builds is a 50 caliber sniper rifle, a grenade launcher, a crossbow with explosive darts. Those were the three that came out at launch, and in the meantime, they've added a build with a rocket launcher, a build with a minigun, and there are more coming. And then in that
Nice.
build, yeah, and the cool part is it takes the RPG mechanics like to a next level in the way that you play the game, you gather XP, and then when you level up again, you get points that you can put into that build. So you can say, okay, I want extra damage on my assault rifle, or every specialization has specific perks, to put it that way. That, for example, with the grenade launcher build, you can get less damage from explosions or from grenades, so you can spec into that. So that kind of, you can customize and really specialize your build and your playstyle, which is really nice. They've also added the Pentagon missions, so you have, like, because the Division 2 is set in Washington D.C., you have these, of course, these known landmarks that you go to, and now it's the Pentagon that's been added. I haven't played that mission yet, and just played it for a couple of hours. But so far, I'm liking it again. They've added a targeted loop as a feature. So if there's specific loot that you're looking for, such as an assault rifle, or you're looking for body armor, or for a sniper rifle, there are either areas on the map where that loot will appear more, or missions that will increase the chance of that loot dropping.
Ah, okay,
Yeah,
okay, okay.
but that's a nice feature as well, which I didn't know that they added that. So when you start up the game, it always gives you like a brief tutorial on the new features they've added in the time you've been away. So it was really nice to see that improved. I spent like a lot of time in the first division, and with this one, it's a little bit less time. The divisions, like, I love the game, but one of the make or break features is that it's a really fun game, but you always have to play together with someone. If you play it
Yeah.
alone, it can get really boring really quickly, because there is also no AI controlled character besides you helping you out. So you kind of feel like the lone wolf constantly, um,
Yeah,
which
it
can
would
be
be nice to
nice,
have
but
it would be nice to have like a companion
yeah,
character that tags along.
yeah. And the good part around this is that the matchmaking for the division is amazing. Like, you can quickly jump into a mission with somebody. Matchmaking is really quick. I played a challenging mission yesterday, and within 30 seconds I was already in a party with three other people playing.
Nice.
Yeah, so their matchmaking is really good. And you can matchmake for specific missions or for free roam, so you can be in a party of strangers if you want the whole time. So that's something they've really done well. Other developers could learn from that. Um, Besides Division 2, I've been putting in some time with Modern Warfare multiplayer still. I just had a look at how much hours I've spent, and I've almost spent 72 hours playing the Modern Warfare multiplayer.
Dang. Okay.
I try to, the tricky part with an FPS is that if you play it in a multiplayer, you have to keep playing it, otherwise you become slower and you kind
Mm.
of get out of shape, and then it's no fun
And then you
anymore.
get sniped by 12-year-olds
Yep,
that
yep, yep, yep.
test you out, and then
Yeah,
it's just like, I don't want to do this
yeah,
anymore.
yeah. Yeah, but it's exactly that. The kind of FPS games struggle with the same things all over again. And what I've noticed with this Call of Duty is there are a lot more campers than I'm used to,
Really?
which is really annoying. I was playing with a colleague, and he said, well, he went back to Black Ops 4 because he just can't take it. It doesn't feel nice, and he doesn't like the campers. I've noticed it, but my play style is kind of like I always play hardcore, so it's always one hit kill. and I'm kind of like a John Wick out there with my pistol, and I just run and gun, so I'm constantly on the move.
Hmm.
Um, and that kind of takes it away, so that makes it a little bit more easier for me, because I'm sliding and jumping and just doing crazy John Wick style stuff, and that helps. But there are instances in which I was playing a match yesterday, and it was a guy who was constantly in the same spot, constantly killing everybody, and that it
But
can
this
get
wasn't there
annoying.
before. They weren't there before, though.
Well,
They weren't there
apparently,
at
and
launch.
yeah, yeah. So what they've done is they've adjusted some some weapons, and they've nerfed some weapons. So I believe that it's called the meta of the game has shifted. So, for example,
Yeah.
shotguns got a huge nerf because there was one shotgun that was basically a sniper rifle. You could just snipe somebody with it. And the
Okay.
claymore mines and the proximity mines have received nerfs as well. So a lot less people using those things. Um, so yeah, the meta of the game is shifting, which is nice. It's just creating this annoying situation in which a lot of people think, you know what, I'll just sit in a corner and I'll just wait for somebody to pass by, which
Oh
happens
boy.
a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I
yeah.
remember that being an issue with the original Modern Warfare for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, they've announced the first season, which kicks off soon, and all the content that's going to be in there. So they're going to add new weapons. They're going to add Crash, which is a map from the first Modern Warfare, the original one, which is one with the crash down chopper in the middle, which is a really nice one. They're going to add Shipment. I don't know if you remember that one, but that's the really tiny map with the containers, which is like a really, really, really small
Was
map.
that in Modern Warfare 2?
I think it's in Modern Warfare 1, but they've kind
Okay,
of
then
brought this map to multiple Call of Duties because it's literally a crazy map because it's so tiny that you can if an airstrike is dropped, for example, on that map, everybody just dies because it's so tiny that everybody is automatically collateral damage. So they're gonna add that map again. I read something around that they're gonna do something with a battle pass, kind of like in Fortnite, that you unlock skins for your weapons and stuff like that. I might
mm,
buy one because I'm
really?
currently yeah, because
I mean, I guess if you're
what I
playing it for long enough.
yeah,
I
and
mean,
what
if
I'm
you're
doing
playing
right now is
consistently, I mean, yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, okay.
yeah, and I'm like focusing on the challenges a lot. So there are challenges that give you either certain weapon builds or skins for your builds, which are really nice. So I'm trying to complete those, and if they add more of those, it mixes up the action a bit for me. I try to play with a lot of different weapons, and I also want to level a lot of weapons. That keeps it interesting. So yeah, I'm putting my time in that, and I try to get a few matches in every day or every once in 2 days because you gotta keep the muscle memory going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Besides Division and Modern Warfare, I've played a little bit more of Pokemon. Um, I really have to. I don't know. Maybe if I travel a lot more, I'm gonna go on a trip today, so I'm gonna take it with me in the train. So maybe I get to play some more in there. It's just that there's so much to play right now that I'm kind of overloaded with what I want to play. Yeah, and the Pokemon is a bit overwhelming at some point. So I've had the opening ceremony with the gyms, and now I'm gonna collect my first gym badge, and
Nice.
I'm there right now. There's not a lot, like not a lot of hours in, but I'm just trying to slowly get it. I got Pikachu from my save for Pokemon Let's Go, so happy with that. Um, and that's basically my progress in Pokemon.
Okay.
And the
Cool.
last game that I've been playing, and I mentioned it, and I got it in last time, but I haven't played it. I hadn't played it then. Is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Ooh, how's that been?
I really like it. It's 2 hour. I'm 2 hours in, I think, and when I started it initially, it really felt like I'm playing Uncharted, which is not a bad thing at all because I love Uncharted. And like the first part of the game felt like the in Uncharted 2, there's this segment which is based on a train, which is a really roller coaster kind of like experience, which was the same. I really like that. I really got Uncharted vibes. The combat is varied because yes, you can bounce a laser beam back when a stormtrooper hits you. It really feels satisfying when you bounce it back and he dies. But the combat is a bit more like a Dark Souls or Demon Souls. so that you don't have your force powers at all times. So you have to like attack your enemies, and then you build up your force meter, and then you can use your force powers. And when you die, you lose all your XP and your life and stuff like that. And you go back and you kill that character again, you get it all back. So it's kind of like the Dark Souls
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah, I
Um,
heard something like that.
yeah, there are these points throughout the map where you can meditate, and when you meditate, you save the game. You can either upgrade your character with the skill points you've earned, and you can also rest, as they call it, and then you get your life refilled and your force refilled and your stims. But what it also does is it respawns all the enemies in that area, and
Yeah.
I don't know if that's normal for a Dark Souls game because I've never
Yeah,
actually
that is
played
that
those
is
games.
ripped straight out of Dark Souls.
Yeah, so it kind of annoyed me at first because I was like, well, I spent so much time killing all these guys. Now I have to do it all over again. Um, graphically, it's getting used to. Graphically, the game looks amazing. I'm playing it on my PS4 Pro, and you can choose if you want 60 FPS or if you want like a higher resolution. I chose the higher resolution because I like them pretty 4K textures.
Runs at 30 then, right?
Yeah, it's locked at 30. Yeah, and
Locked? Like solid?
so far, I haven't noticed any frame drops or anything like that, so it's pretty steady.
Alright.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Um, Voice acting
I've
is nice. The motion, I think they did performance capture, so like facial animations are really on par there. A part of the story is a little bit predictable. It's not like super original. So in some cases,
well,
you're like, oh, I
considering
know
where
what's
the
gonna happen
sto
here. You know.
considering when in the timeline it's taking place,
Yeah.
there's not a lot of wiggle room for a happy ending.
No, but more in the way that like you can in the first like maybe 30 minutes of the game, there's things that happen and you can kind of already say, "Oh, well, this is probably going to happen and that's probably going to happen and then blah blah blah." And then it does that and then you're like, "Okay, well, it would have been a little bit more fun if I had been surprised with a different outcome." But um it is, I think, besides Battlefront 2, because I liked Battlefront 2 as well, besides the controversy it had, I think it's
Mm.
one of the best or better Star Wars games we have had in recent years. Um, there is also a lot of puzzling in there. Some can get really annoying because I'm trapped in a cave right now and I need to get out. I don't know how. Yeah, so the game offers hints, but it's not really super clear on what kind of stuff. So sometimes I just grab a strategy guide and I look it up. I don't have the patience to figure it out. But yeah, it's a solid buy. I would recommend it to everyone. Um, you will not regret it. Even I don't know what how many hours it takes to finish the single player, but even if it's like the standard 6 to 7 hours, it's your money well spent. I mean, Uncharted as well isn't like a super long game, but it's like an action-packed roller coaster ride. A lot of reviews reference that it's a mishmash of Uncharted, God of War, Dark Souls, and stuff like that, and it doesn't do anything new. But to be honest, I think it's good that a game of this size plays it safe just to establish that they can do a good Star Wars game. And then there probably will be a sequel, that they innovate in the sequel. Because let's face it, EA doesn't have the best name out there right now. So it's cool,
Mhm.
good for them to kind of like play it safe, stick to what they know, and then
No
hopefully yeah,
microtransactions.
no microtransactions, and then maybe when Fallen Order 2 comes out, that they spice it up a little bit more.
Well, that depends on how the game ends.
I don't know, but knowing EA, they probably want to milk this out as much as they can. So,
Also, don't forget their 10 years is almost up.
yeah,
So, here's the thing. People are apparently loving this game, and I think it's mostly because of the backlash of Battlefield 2 because that one burned people hard
yeah, with microtransactions.
with
But the
microtransactions
funny
and
thing
just
about that
and
game,
the balance of the game because the microtransactions ruined the balance of the game even when they took it out.
yeah, but the funny thing about that game is that game is in year 2 right now, and they have added so many features to it. I
Really?
mean, yeah, and the funny thing is I don't know if it's being kind of like it's below the radar or not, but I check their YouTube channel every once in a often, and they've added a lot of Clone Wars content, and they're doing a lot of stuff with Battlefront 2. I just don't play it enough, but
Yeah, but who talks about it? I don't
that's
hear
the
anybody
thing.
talking
See, so
about
that
it.
they're like they're putting a lot of stuff in there, and you don't hear anything about it, which is a huge bummer because the game looks gorgeous. It really plays nice. The single player was fun. Um, and they added a whole Clone Wars chapter to the game, and it's really nice, but nobody talks about it.
Hmm.
It actually wanted me to kind of try it out again, so I'm gonna try that out again because
Is it on EA Access?
it's on EA Access, I think. Yeah,
Might actually check it out then on my PlayStation 4.
yeah. That's my list. Um, I don't know how long yours is, but I'm gonna hand it over to you, and we'll hear from you now.
Well, mine is easy because it's literally only one game, which is the game that I started the last episode, which is Pokemon Shield. I finished the main story. I finished the post content. So now I'm gearing up for the first online tournament. As I stated in the last episode, um, this will be the first time that I'm actually trying to be more competitive because they made it a whole lot easier to be to enter the competitive scene with Pokemon. Um, but the thing is, the only way you can do that is to beat the game and get to the post content. Sorry. So for people that are listening right now who are not there and don't want to have it spoiled, this is your spoiler warning because I'm going to go into some stuff that's post game.
Does this have to mean I have to take off my headphones now and walk away and let you talk for 30 minutes?
Well, that's the question. Do you want it? I'm not going to talk about. I'm not going to talk about story stuff. To be clear,
Yeah.
it's more gameplay stuff.
Okay.
So you don't have to
Whew.
take off your headphones if you want to, and it's not going to be that long.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. All right. So this is your spoiler warning. Um. So when, like, literally a week before the game launched, they finally revealed what they were going to do for the competitive scene, and they introduced a new item type called mints. Now, these mints change the nature of your Pokemon, and why is that important? The mints dictate which stats get a boost or get a drop during the Pokemon's um, growth, as in when you level them up, which stats go higher, which stats go lower. Some natures will, for example, give a boost to the Pokemon's attack and then give a lesser boost to special defense. Or one will boost special attack and lower defense. And some will be neutral, so they won't boost or I guess you would call it nerf um, a stat at all. So that's what most competitive players use when they try to breed Pokemon, which takes forever if you do it that way. But with the mints, you can actually change the natures to what you want so that you can manipulate the Pokemon's growth and then use breeding to get the perfect Pokemon that you want competitively. So in that way, Game Freak has made the competitive scene way more open to even more Pokemon because during in the competitive scene you always have a fixed amount of Pokemon that you can use that were viable for competitive play. If you use any other Pokemon, then you're just throwing away your match, as it were, and wasting your time trying to breed one with perfect IVs, which is the underlying stats for the Pokemon. And the only way you can get these mints is when you finally beat the game and go to the battle tower and then earn points during the battle tower because that has its own currency. And with the battle points that you accrue there, that's how you get the mints. It's essentially not that hard, but the challenge with the battle tower is that the buffs that you get during the main game are not applicable to the battle tower. So if you have your Pokemon team and you've been building up their friendship to get extra boosts during battles, Those don't exist during the battle tower. So it's purely the stats of your Pokemon and your own skills in terms of what the best moveset is for your Pokemon, the best counters, the best defensive strategies that you can throw at it. So the battle tower is a good way to prep yourself to get into the competitive scene, and it allows you to get the mints to adapt your Pokemon to the right natures, and then you can use that to breed the Pokemon that you want. And even if the Pokemon that you hatch don't have the right doesn't have the right nature, but does have the right IVs that you want, you can always change that nature for them and have it work for you. So that's basically it. That's what I'm working on right now, outside of doing the Dynamaxing thing with the max raid battles. Max raid battles, by the way, are awesome. Have you tried those already?
No, I'm only 2 hours in, so
Oh man, I think when you go back to the wild area and you start doing the max raid battles, you're gonna love it
I
because
think I
it
also
is.
need Nintendo online services because a lot of things when I try to do it, it says you need to have the Nintendo subscription.
Oh, you don't have it?
No, because I never play online.
Yeah, you do need that though. And honestly, that is the best way to play it because if you go online, you can actually play with other players. And I have noticed something really weird. Oh, by the way, spoilers over. So if you cannot come back, you can come back. Um, I have noticed something weird when it comes to raid battles because people can see in a special feed what raid battle you're going up against, and you can see the silhouette of the Pokemon. So if you recognize the silhouette of the Pokemon, you can choose whether to jump in and play along with the other person that's looking for other people to play with, or you cannot. Meaning that if you see someone playing against a rare Pokemon in a max raid battle, everybody's gonna try and jump in on that so that they can get a piece with it. And a max raid battle only allows up to 4 people to play. And if you're playing a very tough Pokemon in a max raid battle, but it's one that people don't care about, you will get ignored. Nobody will jump in. And I don't know if that's on purpose, but I feel that it is because every time it was a Pokemon that I don't have yet and I wanted to get it, but it's a basic Pokemon, it's not a Gigantamax Pokemon, I get ignored. But as soon as it's a Gigantamax Pokemon, everybody's on board all of a sudden.
Okay.
So that's and when you play with NPCs on the higher rankings, they don't just dump you into 5-star rankings until you get to a certain level. Now I only get 5 or 4-star or maybe 3-star rankings sometimes, but 5-star rankings are really tough, and you cannot get it done with NPCs. The NPCs Pokemon suck. They always choose the worst Pokemon and they always use the worst strategies. You do not want to play with NPCs on higher ranking, on 5-star or 4-star, because the strategy that the Pokemon uses on 4 and 5 stars is just way tougher, and you need humans to actually coordinate, even though there's no voice acting, voice chat.
Okay.
But everybody understands what max rate battles are supposed to be, so everybody understands their role when they're in it. But the NPC just does whatever it wants. It is really annoying, and it'll always get knocked out, and then you get knocked out of the max raid battle. Ugh.
I
Other
sense a
than
bit
that,
of
I've been
frustration.
enjoying the game.
Okay, that's good.
Other than that, I've been enjoying the poot out of the game.
That's
Um,
good to
the
hear.
Catching Pokemon is fun. Like I said before in the news segment, discovering new Pokemon that were made specifically for this game, and even the Galarian form. So Pokemon that were introduced in other generations that have new forms here. Those were really unexpected. Like I said in the previous episode, Galarian Meowth looks like Taz the Tasmanian Devil,
Oh, that's
and
fun.
its evolved form looks like. So do you remember Do you remember the cartoon Vicky the Viking that was on the TV back in the day in the 90s? Was about
Not
this
from the
little
top of
kid.
my head.
What it was about this little kid called Vicky, who was this Viking kid, and he went on adventures with, his Viking dad and friends all over the seas.
It doesn't
He,
ring a bell.
the evolution of Galarian Meowth feels like it would be his pet because it looks like a Viking, like
Okay.
straight up Viking horns and everything.
Okay. I've
It is
had
hilarious.
my score bunny has evolved into next form and kind of looks cool.
Oh,
Um,
Raboot, yeah.
yeah, I didn't expect it, so that was fun when I was playing a little bit.
Yeah. Don't worry, it doesn't evolve into a firefighting type. It's a pure fire type. It's good. Which is
Yay!
also actually something that is very unique with this Pokemon game. This is the first time that none of the starters end up having a secondary typing. They're all pure grass, water, fire from start to finish, which is amazing because I don't think they've ever done that before.
It's
No,
been
wait.
20 years since I played Pokemon, so you can tell me anything and I'll believe you.
Yeah, I think the only time they did that was with Pokemon Sword Gold and Silver. And even then I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
So yeah, that's actually really cool. I like the evolutions. Some people don't like the final evolutions of certain Pokemon. Um, there are people that don't like the final evolution of Sobble or the final evolution of Grookey. Which seriously, the final evolution of Grookey is awesome because it's just a big ass drummer guy with a lot of hair. He looks like a Super Saiyan 3.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, a Super Saiyan 3 with drums.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, I finished the game. I finished the post game. My main focus right now is getting ready for the online tournament, which starts I think this Wednesday. So the time this episode goes live, or a couple of days after that. So I'll see how I do there, and I'll see how viable it is to be competitive in this game. And all I can do is my best.
Do keep us in the loop on how it goes.
I'll let you guys know. And hopefully by then I'll also be able to catch up on some other games that I have let by the wayside, like Luigi's Mansion 3 and Astral Chain. So now that I've at least finished like the main storyline of the Pokemon game, so I can focus on that.
Nice.
But that's basically what I've been playing.
Cool. Well, people should stick around because we'll be back with our hidden gem.
Yep.
Alrighty, welcome back everybody to our last segment, a hidden gem.
Hidden gems.
I just love it when you do that. So, Maximilian, what is your hidden gem?
Well, my hidden gem is truly a hidden gem because if you're able to find this game for a reasonable price, then you should pick it up right away because this is none other than Uniracers for the Super Nintendo, or if you're in the PAL territories, Unirally.
I've never heard of that.
Really? Because the developers of this game you probably heard of.
Which are?
DMA Design.
Isn't that Rockstar these days?
Yep, specifically in Rockstar North. So Uniracers or Unirally was this game, a racing game, in fact, where you play as a sentient unicycle and race against other sentient unicycles.
What?
And it was the funnest thing because the way it works is that yes, you are racing against other unicycles, but the way you pick up speed is by pulling off tricks. So you have to do tricks by jumping and then doing corkscrews or reverse corkscrews or backflips and spins and yada yada yada. And it's all pre-rendered graphics. So the kind of like the silicon the Silicon System graphics that they use for Donkey Kong Country, that kind of aesthetic. And it looks super trippy because the roads are basically like these color coded Twizzlers, and you're racing all over it, and you go upside down and go in loop de loops and stuff like that. It's really fun. Plays the gameplay is really tight. It came out around 94, 95. But here's where things get a little bit annoying. So you've heard of Pixar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Pixar sued DMA Designs because they said that their design of a unicycle
Yeah.
looked like their unicycle that they used in their short that they made back in the 80s. This was when they were still doing like these super short uh super short shorts using 3D models. And they said that it looks like their design, therefore they can't make or they can't sell Uniracers anymore. And the judge that presided over that decision agreed with Pixar.
What?
It's a unicycle. How is it else gonna look like then other than a unicycle?
I have no idea.
So guess what? They won, and they had to take the game off the market. So it is a rare gem.
Wow.
So when I say this is a hidden gem, this truly is a hidden gem. I used to rent this from my local video store, which was the video chain here. Shout outs to Videoland, old school, not new school, because it's now just a streaming service. But I used to rent a lot of games, and Uniracers was one of them, and I enjoyed the heck out of Uniracers back then. And it's a shame that that game got pulled off the shelves. And there's no way this game will ever get a remake or get re-released in any way, because unless that decision gets overturned, it ain't happening. So if you come across Uniracers or Unirally for a decent price, pick it up. Don't even hesitate. Just pick it up, because it is a fun racing game. You can play 2 players simultaneously, or you can play against the computer. But honestly, why would you? Because the computer cheats. But playing against another human being is always fun.
Do you have the game?
No, I do not.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yes, it is. It is very much a shame.
Well, somebody told me if you see the game, don't hesitate and buy the game.
Yeah. Buy it. And if you can let me know, then please do. It's very fun.
Cool.
Yeah. So yeah. Oh, right. Oh man, I don't know whose quote this is on Wikipedia, but it's from one of the game designers from DMA Designs back then. Robbie Graham recalled they took footage from Red's Dream, that's the short from Pixar, and compared it to Unirally, and the unicycles were virtually the same. This isn't a big surprise, as there's not a lot of ways you can bring life to a unicycle without looking like the Pixar one did. The judge, being the moron that he was, agreed. End quote.
Wow.
That is
wow.
That is a very good quote.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, so yeah, it's a shame. I mean, it didn't get the best scores, but it was, again, just because a game doesn't get good scores doesn't mean it's not a fun game.
I agree.
So, SeanTemplar, what is your hidden gem?
Is maybe not so specifically a specific game, but more like a franchise. And it's a franchise that we haven't gotten a game in for a while now. And everybody kind of hopes they do bring out a game in this franchise, which is Splinter Cell franchise.
Oh, snap. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, like, I played almost every one of all of them. Maybe like
Mhm.
not finished all of them, but I played like a lot of them. And it was when it initially came out. I think it was a timed exclusive on Xbox first, and it came to the PS2 later. And I bought it on
Mhm.
PS2, and I really liked the game because it left no room for error. It was really punishing in a way that if you it was kind of like directly up against Metal Gear Solid there, and
Yeah.
you couldn't wing it like you could do it in Metal Gear. You had to be precise and calculated and take it slow. If you didn't do that, it was game over. For people that don't know, Splinter Cell is a game developed by Ubisoft. You play as a third echelon operative called Sam Fisher, which is like a CIA hidden black ops team, and they revolve around finding bad guys around the globe. So there's a few games in the franchise. They started out on the PS2, and the last game that came out was on the PS3. So bummer that there is no PS4 release. And so throughout the games, you follow this character called Sam Fisher and other characters in Third Echelon around the different missions. He learns new moves, new gadgets, all sorts of stuff throughout the games. Um, the initial games are a lot more focused on really stealthy mechanics, so that you have silent weapons, or you have this rifle that has all sorts of attachments with cameras and with shock grenades and sticky grenades that can shock people. You could lure people away. Your character was also pretty acrobatic, so you could climb up to things, or you could stand in between the wall and then maybe shoot people down below. The later games became a little bit more action oriented and a little bit more violent. So you could, for example, in either the third one or in the fourth one in Double Agent, you had a knife with you, so you either take out somebody non-violent, or you could just slash his throat and then just carry away the body, which was kind of different because normally it was like, hey, don't harm people, just knock them out and bring them away.
Mhm.
The last game in the franchise was Blacklist, and in that game you played as a younger Sam Fisher, or at least it looked like a younger Sam Fisher. I don't know if they kind of rebooted the game there or not. Um, Starting from, I think, Splinter Cell Conviction, you had like an older Sam Fisher, and it had a completely different play to it. There were mechanics added that you could, for example, mark certain targets, and then up to three, you could take them out all simultaneously. The game became a bit more action oriented. Blacklist took you all over the place, all over the globe. Um, Third echelon became fourth echelon because something happened in the story in which they had to disband the third echelon. Um, a lot of people really miss this game. I mean, it was a really fun game. The game had multiplayer. I never really played it because it wasn't really my area. I always heard mixed stories around it. But people were generally always positive around the games, and it's Ubisoft has, I believe, said that, hey, Splinter Cell is a franchise we hold near and dear. It's something that might get some attention in the future, but right now we have nothing to announce regarding this. So I'm kind of hoping that they do something with it, especially seeing as that UB is focusing a lot more on the kind of futuristic themed games such as Watch Dogs and um, Ghost Recon. So those games are a bit more modern slash a bit futuristic. So I think like a Splinter Cell would fit in greatly.
Mhm.
um, but yeah, it's a bummer that they haven't done anything on PS4. And every time there is an E3, people are kind of hoping for a glimpse at a Splinter Cell game. But every time they kind of hold out, and they bring out new IPs, something for the best, sometimes for the best, sometimes for the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Blacklist was the last one, right?
Yes.
How well was that one received? Because I don't remember people talking about that one a lot.
At the time when it came out, it was really well received. I played it on the PC. Really looked gorgeous. Played nice with a mouse and keyboard. Um, check.
I think actually, now that I think about it, I actually bought that one on. You'll never guess which version I bought.
The Wii version.
The Wii U version.
Oh, great. It has
It
a
was on it was on sale.
the the
It was
Metacritic.
cheap.
Yeah, the Metacritic is 82.
All right.
So the
Okay.
Wii U
Okay.
version is 75.
Yeah, I think there were certain things with the Wii U version, like I think maybe not the graphical fidelity was a little bit lower. I think, and that's maybe the reason why the Metacritic is a bit
Yeah,
lower on that.
IGN gave it a 9.2 at the time.
Yeah, damn, wow, that's high.
Yeah, so here's hoping they bring the game back. I mean, Sam Fisher has made appearances in other games, so there is a crossover with Ghost Recon Wildlands.
Hmm.
You can get his outfit, and his outfit is also available in the Division. But he also plays a character. He is as a character appears in Ghost Recon Wildlands on certain missions. It was a I don't know if it was a timed mission for a short period or it's like a mission that's regularly in there. But I remember seeing videos that Ubisoft released with Sam Fisher partnering and teaming up with the Ghosts and doing something in. Whoa, I just forgot in which country Wildlands is based. It's in South America, and
Yeah, it's an actual country,
yeah,
unlike Badlands.
Bolivia. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. I don't remember.
I'm just
I
gonna
do
look that
not
up because
remember
I
that.
need to know right now. Yeah, it's Bolivia.
Yeah, see, you
Yeah,
got it.
yeah. So yeah, here's hoping that UB makes a new Flint Cell game, and we don't know. We kind of hope. That's it. That's my hidden gem, and with that, we have come to the end of another episode of Game Rivals.
Yes, we have.
Thank you for listening. Um, we always want to hear about your feedback, so you can leave us a tweet at game underscore rivals underscore. You can reach out to Maximilian at Maximilian. You
Mhm.
can email us at gamerivalsfeedback@gmail.com. We also have a YouTube channel, which Maximilian has posted an unboxing video of The Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening, the special steelbook, yada yada yada, wada 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 edition. Um, I'm going to be releasing a video around my first hour with um, Jedi Fallen Order soon, and also maybe a Modern Warfare video in which you can see some clips of me playing if you're into that. We also have a survey that we've put up. We would love to hear your feedback. It's really simple, really short. Just kind of let us know. We're working on some new ideas for season 2, which we are almost approaching. So we kind of want to do something new for that. You can find us on all your favorite podcasting platforms such as Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Overcast, Google something. You know, if it's there, if it's a podcasting platform, chances are we're there. You can also leave us a voice message through the Anchor app or through the link in the description. You do not have to make an Anchor account. You can just leave us some comment or feedback, or heck, you might even be featured as a game rival. Um, have I nailed it this way?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. The only thing you're missing was the Game Rivals feedback email address,
I think
which
I
is
mentioned that one.
you did. You did.
I think I did after your Twitter handle.
Ah, okay. Wait. Huh. And then I guess I missed that one. Then all
That's
right,
okay.
we're good to go.
Any last words before we send it home?
Yeah, again, much love to you all for sticking with us and listening to every episode. We are very grateful. Don't forget to give us a 5-star rating on or whatever podcasting service that you're on, which helps us with visibility. And don't forget to spread the word. Tell your friends, tell your family members that might like listening to two guys just talking about video games for a couple of hours just to fill your time and have some company with you. And yeah, that's it. So till next time, this has been Maximilian X
And SeanTemplar.
signing off, and have a good one.